Good morning, Geordies. Actually, it might be afternoon by the time you watch this. Let's just say hello. Hello there, Geordies. How are you feeling after yesterday? I can't lie, even though I expected defeat, I'm still depressed because I'm going to go through this week with squeaky bum time. So I'm going to do one thing to take my mind off it, and that's scout more players. So we're going to be looking at another midfielder. This might be the last midfielder because if one thing yesterday showed us, we need another striker. Somebody to just be clinical when Alexander Isak's not available. I enjoyed Asula's performance, but again, there's a little bit of rustiness and a little bit of refinement needed with him. I will be talking about the Everton game close at the time. I just wanted to take my mind off it for a bit. So we're going to be looking at another midfielder. This is a midfielder that's only made 16 senior appearances, so you might not have heard of him, might never have watched him, but every time I've seen him play, he's impressed us, and he's keeping some experienced players out the side at the minute. And it is a midfielder that's playing in France at the minute, so there's no surprise because they just churn out talent and youngsters like there's no tomorrow. And his name is Djaoui Cissé, who's currently playing for Rennes. He was born on the 31st of January 2004, which makes him 21 at the moment. He stands at 6'2". He's made 16 senior appearances and he's had no recorded injuries to date. He's a youth product of US Gringy, I think you pronounce that, but he joined Rennes in 2019. He made his senior and professional debut for Rennes on the 18th of February 2004. Cissé is a right-footed central midfielder known for his strong presence and his ability to transition play and break lines. He's got a wonderful profile, lovely attributes to work on, good at dribbling, strong defensive attributes, including ball recoveries and tackles won. So we're going to start by looking at some of his strengths. He's a versatile box-to-box midfielder, but he can also play as a holding midfielder with particular ability to progress the ball through ball carrying, but also passes and breaking through lines. What I've really enjoyed about him since he's come into the senior team is his composure, constantly unfazed, even in situations of distress. When he's receiving the ball in tight areas or just in front of his own defense, he gets out of situations so well, and he shows so much maturity and composure on the ball. It's insane. He shows great understanding of the game through his positional sense. He reads the game well, he makes smart choices, which allows him to steal possession, make key tackles, and start attacks from deep. He has a vision and ability to pick out passes over considerable distances. He's good with short passing, medium passes, long passes, switching the play. His vision from deep is quite good, and that's highlighted in his high completion success rate through his ball passes. Now, getting on to his defensive side of the game, I love how well he uses his body. It's exceptional. He's got a strong core, he stays low to the ground, and that allows him to adjust seamlessly to sharp movements, and he largely remains unfazed through heavy contact. Now, to play in the Newcastle United midfield, there are some key elements you do need. You need to be comfortable with the ball at your feet. He's ticked that box. And you need to be an exceptional transitional blocker, and he certainly ticks that box. He's got exceptional awareness, always understanding where he is, where his press and trigger is, where the ball is, and where to go next. That allows him to make his presence known on the pitch, but also commands enough space to inspire confidence throughout the team. So with his ability to block the back line, to protect the defense, it allows others to take up more dangerous positions in the final third. He holds an exceptional straight line ball carrying ability. He's so comfortable receiving in tight areas or anywhere on the pitch. He understands where the pressure's coming from, and he understands how to evade the pressure. And he does this by opening up favourable angles to evade pressure, and then he uses his long and powerful strides to carry the ball with momentum of short and quick movements. He's good at cleaning up first balls, he's good at cleaning up second balls, and he uses his body well in front of the ball, and that's fundamental for ball winners. So he ticks a lot of boxes. He's strong, he's got long legs, he's 6'2", he's quick, he knows how to engage in duels, and his tackling in transition is exceptional. And that's something that we need in our midfield, because our midfielders get to use all these attributes, and he can bring these attributes. That's not to say he's a finished article, because there definitely is flaw to his games and things that he does need to work on. Firstly, he's very inexperienced. 16 senior appearances. That's not enough to come into the Premier League and hit the ground running. So the fundamentals are there, but he needs more game time just to refine everything. His decision making, his ability to stamp his authority on and off the ball. His passing is decent, but there is areas for improvement. I really love his floated passes, the way he just moves the ball off both feet, but he's not a real incisive passer. He won't break down low blocks. So what I'm trying to say is more of a safe passer rather than a riskier passer. He usually looks for the safer option. It's not a bad thing necessarily, but I wouldn't class him as a passing number 6 type. Next, for standing Standing at 6'2", he's really weak aerially, often mistimes these jumps and not be able to outstrength opponents when he's off the ground. But when he's on the ground, I actually do like his combativeness and his ability to win duels, but sometimes he can be too erratic, makes silly fouls and costs his team. Diving in when he should be holding his ground, or holding his ground when he should actually be trying to win the ball. He just sometimes gets his decision making wrong, but again, that comes with more game time and more experience. And then there is a lack of creativity. You rarely see him going into the final third and breaking down low blocks or creating shooting opportunities. This is why I feel he would only excel in a Sandro Tonali role or covering Joelinton. And let's look at him from a statistic point of view and how he compares to Joelinton, Bruno, Sandro Tonali. I'm only doing those three because if I add any more players, it's just going to be far too much information on the screen, far too much for me to read and far too much for you to take in. But if you look at his heat map, he's very, very similar to Joelinton. He likes to go on that left-hand side. It's probably the role he's been given at Rennes. He plays in a double pivot at Rennes because they play a 4-2-3-1 formation mainly. So he's been tasked with that role of covering the left-hand side. And that's why I feel like he would be comfortable in those wider areas that we see Joelinton do. When you think back to the cup final, Joelinton did a terrific job on Mohamed Salah. Somebody like that that's happy to go out in the wider areas and defend in one-on-one situations. I'd feel absolutely comfortable with him doing that. When we look at these statistics, and I see very well-rounded, comfortable in possession, comfortable out of possession. That just highlights it all. He's strong ball recoveries, he's progressive in his passes, he's progressive in his ball carries, and he's got exceptional ball retention skills. Only Bruno is averaging more progressive passes per 90 than Cissé. So when you're looking at that, it is actually very pleasing reading. So let's look at him against midfielders across the top 5 leagues. And as you can see, there's not much creation coming after him. And I mentioned his ability to get out of tight spaces, to just successfully maneuver around challenges. And that highlights his in his shot and goal creations, because most of his shot and goal creations come after a take on. So his ability just to beat the press is absolutely terrific. And I wouldn't be surprised if Brighton were looking at this midfielder for a Baleba replacement. When it comes to shooting, you're not going to get much shooting from him. He's averaging 1 shot per game. He's averaging half of his shots on target. I think he scored 1 goal in his 16 appearances. But he's not that type of midfielder. He's not a type of midfielder that's going to excel in his goals and his assists. Where he does excel is on the ball and off the ball, breaking up play, but also moving the ball into dangerous positions. As you can see, his passing completion rate is really, really pleasing. He's averaging 84% on his long passes, 93% on his medium passes, 90% on his short passes. When it comes to successful dribbles, he's averaging a success rate of 72.2%, which is phenomenal. But he actually gets involved in play. He's averaging 60 touches per 90, which is just as much as Bruno, Tonali and Joelinton. But the statistic that really catches my eye is his progressive passes, averaging 6.7 per 90, which is terrific. That fits in our mold because we want to be progressive in our play. We're one of the most devastating teams on the counter-attack. So if we can bring progressive players into our squad, it's just going to elevate our game on the counter-attack. When we're breaking free after we've won the ball back, if we've got players with good vision from deep, it's going to fit in exactly what Eddie Howe wants. So just to highlight what type of midfielder he again, he's somebody that will go short and receive the ball off the back foot. As you can see, he very rarely receives any progressive passes. So that tells you that his starting position's a little bit deeper. He likes to create angles to receive the ball. So you'll often see, for example, if Fabian Schär's got the ball, he'll be the one that will create an angle to receive a 5-yard pass. He's not the one to put his hand up and ask Fabian Schär to play a medium pass into the final third. He'll come and receive the ball, receive on the half turn, and then play from there, which is a quality I really like in a midfielder. But another pleasing statistic here, he's averaging his most touches in the middle third, but he's averaging more touches in the final third than he is a defensive third. I love that statistic because it shows that he wants to get forward, but he just doesn't have that inkling, that decisiveness in the final third. But the elements and the attitude is absolutely spot on because he wants to play forward. Now, if we look at his defensive statistics on the right-hand side, very, very pleasing once again. He's sitting so highly in the percentile against midfielders in Europe. He's averaging more tackles than Joelinton, Tonali and Bruno per 90, but he's also averaging a good amount of interceptions and over 60% of his dribblers tackled, which just highlights his ability to be dominant in one-on-one situations. But on the other side, the really pleasing statistic, he's averaging 6.26 ball recoveries per 90, which is phenomenal. So if somebody does bypass him, he's got the ability to eat up the ground and recover the ball. But where he does lack is aerially. I said he doesn't win many duels, and as you can see on the statistics, he's only winning 23.5% of his aerial duels, which is really problematic. So this is him in a side-by-side comparison of Bruno, Tonali and Joelinton when he's in possession. And as you can see, when it comes to open play passes, he's averaging more than any of our midfielders, which just highlights his willingness and ability to get on the ball and move the ball, which I really love. When it comes to forward passes, only Bruno is averaging more forward passes per 90. But as you can see, he completes a large proportion of his passes. Long passes completion and just medium to short passes completion, he's averaging more than our midfielder. So his ability to retain possession, protect possession, but also be accurate with these ball deliveries is exceptional. And then when it comes to the defensive side of things, as you can see, he's averaging more tackles than any of our midfielders, but he's also averaging more successful take-ons than any of our midfielders. So he can win the ball, but he can also keep care of the ball. And that's an important role in our midfield, because when we win the ball, we'll want to try and win the ball, but keep the ball rather than poking the ball away, because if we keep the ball, that allows us to break quickly. Tonali's very good at this, just winning the ball, but coming away with the ball once you've won it. Very, very good. So it's an attribute that we need to have in our midfield. The very concerning thing on here is the amount of aerial duels won. Again, very, very low on these aerial duels. 23% is concerning. But the biggest highlight is the ball recoveries. He's averaging more ball recoveries than any of our midfielders. So when it comes to working hard off the ball, covering a lot of ground, you're certainly going to get that from Cissé. And then to finish up, let's just look at the last comparison. This is a graph comparison, so you can look at all the different elements. When I say he's really well-rounded, this is what I mean. If you take away his chance creation, because he's not going to create many chances for you, when you take away that, what you want in your holding midfielder or your box-to-box midfielder is somebody like Cissé. He's progressive in his passes. He's winning a lot of his duels. He's averaging more defensive actions than any of our midfielders. He's averaging more ball carries than any of our midfielders. He's averaging just shy of Bruno when it comes to forward passes, but he's completing a lot of passes. The only statistic where he's really low is key passes. So I mentioned his lack of ability to break down a low block. That's not his role. That's not where he excels. Where he excels is getting on the ball, moving the ball forward, but also breaking up the opposition's play. Reads the game so well, and he's got a nice zonal control, which I really like about him. He's got really nice profile. He's not too big where he's stocky. He's got nice agility, athleticism, and it's a really nice profile, but there are some weaknesses to his game that he would need to improve if he was to transition into the Premier League. I don't think he's ready to have a starting role in the Premier League, if I'm perfectly honest. And he lacks experience. I think his decision-making can be off at times. You'll often see him making the wrong pass and missing an opportunity to really create rather than keeping the ball. And sometimes you've got to take that element of risk. And I think that comes with experience, knowing when to play, when to take that risk, and when not to take that risk. So he's definitely not the finished article. Definitely not. But for cover, for somebody to learn from the quality of Sandro Tonali, Joelinton and Bruno, he would be ideal, because he can come in and learn from them, be an understudy, but also rotate with them, because if he come to Newcastle, he'll be playing with better players. The movement of Alexander Isak would just elevate his passing game, because sometimes when the pass isn't made by the man in possession, it's made by the movement around him. When you got better, more intelligent movement around you, that makes your passing selection a lot better, is what I'm trying to say. So I want to hear your thoughts. Is Cissé somebody that you would welcome to St. James's Park? Does he have the profile to fit Eddie Howe's system? Let me know in the comments below. But if you've enjoyed this video, once again, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I might move on to strikers next, because I really do think we need an understudy to Alexander Isak. But if you've enjoyed this, make sure you leave your comments in the below. And once again, I want to appreciate you all for watching. Until next time, away the lads.